by the way, Aaron, I know the question about Cade McNamara. This is not the first one who's asked this question. If you put the line at Cade playing, I guess this is just kind of an arbitrary number, in 8 games, are you taking the over? I probably would. This is just total guesswork. Like, how do we know, if he's going to get hurt or not? I know he's had 2 serious knee injuries, and there's some concern there. But I think he's the projected starter. And typically, Iowa's starting quarterback plays more than 8 games. That's what I would say. If he gets hurt again, then boy, that whole transfer portal experiment from a year and a half ago when they landed him to start did not work out. And that's unfortunate if that happens. I hope it doesn't. I hope he plays and I hope he has a great year. So I would probably take the over, but boy, I'm not a betting guy, and I can't imagine anybody betting on something as random as that.
Yes. Injuries. Yeah, I would not lay any money down on guessing if somebody's going to get hurt or hurt again. But we wish him the best. Especially, I would not want to bet against anyone. I want Cade McNamara to be healthy and play the season. That would be great.
And do we want to take Isaac's question? Isaac says, do we really want Cade as our starter? When he did play, he was pretty average. I'm not saying I, quote unquote, want him to be the starter. I think he's the safest bet of anybody on the team as it relates to being, when he's healthy, his gameplay. We didn't see it a ton at Iowa. Keep in mind, he was hurt in those 4 games when he started his career here, Isaac. So, what would can he get back to where he's more mobile than he was prior to getting hurt again early in late September? That's the idea. I really like Marco Lainez. I really like James Rezar and his future. We don't know what they're going to do in the portal. Maybe they'll grab somebody that can push Cade. But I'm just saying, I think the staff anticipates that he'll be the starter. They're planning on him being the starter. But boy, Marco Lainez really develops over the next couple of months, then I'm all for having a guy as athletic as Marco and, a younger guy who's got a future ahead of him. This is Cade's last year regardless.
Isaiah is playing off to a certain extent in the same place I was when Cade McNamara was signed, to say that's a really good pickup. He's a decent quarterback, good quarterback, whatever I phrased it at the time. But I was not one of these that was like, whoa, Cade McNamara, and he's exceptional, and he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. I was not in that camp. I was not nearly as optimistic or as hopeful as many Iowa fans were, which that's what you typically do when you're a fan, be optimistic. So I'm not.
No, I did. Mark, you remember me saying, as much as fans were excited, I said it a number of times prior to the start of the season. I said Cade McNamara is going to disappoint a lot of people this year. Like, not because of anything he's doing wrong, but just because you're right. The hype train's always going to be bigger, especially when you're coming off the quarterback play that Iowa had seen the previous 3 years. And you bring in this guy that, he won the Big Ten championship game, took his team to the playoff. Won the Big Ten championship, I should say, took his team to the playoff. But I agree with you. The bar wasn't real high, and so people were excited. But at the same time, we knew we were getting a game manager. Now, we didn't know we were getting an injured game manager. We didn't know he was going to tweak his knee during Kids Day, during fall camp, and that came back to bite him. And then, of course, the more serious injury down the line. But he certainly did disappoint people.
Well, I'm not going to say I wasn't optimistic, but you were on the record more optimistic than I was. I was talking him down a little bit. I was talking him down as more like,
I thought he was exactly
7th best quarterback in the league, somewhere in that range.
I thought he was exactly what Iowa needed, given the situation, given the fact that they had really good tight ends, or they could play their style. And even though Brian was back as play caller, I thought, hey, you ride a couple of horses at tailback. You got a couple of NFL prospects at tight end and Lachey and all. You have a game-managing quarterback to complement a really good defense. And the one thing I liked about Cade was that he had been there. He had aspirations to win championships, which I thought, hey, maybe that influences the culture a little bit at Iowa. And maybe it has. I don't know. But that was more so where my optimism was. I never expected him to be a guy who's thrown for 250 on a night in, night out basis. I don't think you'd expect that out of any Iowa quarterback just because of the style of play, as long as Kirk is here.
So back to this 14-team playoff. I am completely with you on your optimism about Iowa having a shot at the playoffs. We are pretty much at the same point on that. I have not argued with you. Sure, we don't see it exactly the same, but very close. However, over the 10-year college football playoff run from 2014 through this past season, if there had been a 14-team playoff, Iowa would have made it how many times?
From 15 or 2014 to present.
Yes.
Either 2 or 3. Were they in 20? Where were they in 21?
They weren't in the top 13 in the country to make the playoff. They were close. So they were close in 21 and 23.
What do you mean the top 13? Why do you keep
Well,
saying?
if there's going to be a 14-team playoff, almost all of those seasons except for 3, the group of 5 had to be elevated from wherever they were to fill a spot. Meaning,
Okay,
if you were in the
so
Power 5, you had to be in the top 13 to make the playoff.
So, let me just clarify this for people that don't pay attention as much as I don't pay attention. The G5 is getting an automatic bid every year.
Yes.
I think I lobbied for that last week, and now I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of stupid, but I understand. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. No, I mean, if you can't make the top 13, whatever. But here's the thing: they were really close in 21, and they were really close this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the problem lies where they have been is, hey, they got a great chance to win the West, and 2 of the last 3 years they've done that. They did it in 2015. They should have done it 2 years ago. But the problem has been, hey, even if they win the West, they're going to get killed in the Big Ten Championship game. Although we're still able to have those conversations leading up to the Big Ten Championship game. Hey, if they pull off a miracle, might they sneak in? Now, that's not a concern. First of all, the West doesn't exist anymore. But it's more so, can you claw your way to 9-3, 10-2 to put yourself in that conversation? And I do think, I mean, not trying to compare this roster because we don't know exactly what this roster is going to look like yet for 24. But when you compare the personnel, the experience they have, the production they have returning this year, in comparison to even what they had 21, 22, 23, I'd like to think with the addition of Tim Lester as the OC and play caller, they've got a chance to be a better team, in overall. You get Cooper DeJean back would have been the cherry on top. The one big thing we were, worrying about or wondering about, I should say, was the SEC or the Pac-12 entries into the conference. So with UCLA and Washington potentially down, I think that just opens the door more